sales, for example, hashtag sales, they're using certain keywords in their profile bios, such as marketer and strategist and speaker. The words they're using in their shares on social media, where they're located, cities, states, etc. This is all just a click away. So think of using this as insight for example, targeting Facebook audiences. So you might already be targeting, let's say, fans and followers, people who like Brian Tracy, but what about Casey Neistat, et cetera, et cetera.
Who here has thought about or perhaps already has canceled some expenses in an effort to cut down on costs? These are difficult times for sure, but it's not the time to slow your momentum. You can adapt to the situation in ways that won't strain your budget. And you're about to learn about 5 amazing tools that will help you outmaneuver and outperform your competition from SEO and digital marketing expert Stephan Spencer. Stephan has search engine optimized the websites of some of the biggest brands in the world, including Chanel, Volvo, Sony, and Zappos. Stephan is also a best-selling author of 3 books published by O'Reilly, The Art of SEO, Social E-commerce, and Google Power Search. He founded the SEO agency Net Concepts, acquired in 2010, and now part of a multi-billion-dollar ad agency conglomerate, Aegis. I never say it right, but it's, how do you say it, Stephan?
Aegis.
Aegis. I was close. Stephan consults, speaks, and writes on SEO and other digital marketing topics. He also hosts 2 popular podcasts, Get Yourself Optimized and Marketing Speak. Every time this guy gives a presentation, we get such an incredible feedback on it. It's always so useful. So Stephan, take it away. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joe. And I don't mind that you butcher my name half the time. Can everybody see my screen?
I can see it.
Perfect. So I'm going to cover 5 simple but insanely powerful tools to multiply your capabilities as a results leader. So here's what we're going to cover. Where your market hangs out online, what questions your market has, like for Google, how to make social videos using AI in a snap, how to find cheap staff in the Philippines who are incredible and loyal, and finally, what motivates and triggers you, your loved ones, your staff, pretty much everybody you care about. The first tool is going to it's going to unveil for us what your market's favorite social accounts, podcasts, and websites are. It's called SparkToro. Not only can you put in a keyword that would be something popular with your audience, your ideal customer prospect, but you could also put in the URL of your website. You could put in your social profile. You could put in a competitor's social profile or website, and then you'll learn what social accounts they follow, what websites they visit, podcasts they listen to, YouTube channels they subscribe to, hashtags they use, and so much more. Let's have a look. Can you guys see my screen with the SparkToro results already displayed? Yeah?
Yes. Yes.
Perfect. So this is Joe's social following. I put in his Twitter, but I could have put in his YouTube or his Facebook, and it's all connected up into one mega profile for you, so we don't have to check on multiple accounts. So this is 12,000 different people who follow you across all social platforms. And what you'll find is that a lot of these folks that they're following are people that you're friends with, that are in masterminds with you, that are going to the same events, etc. But then there'll be people who are hidden gems that you wouldn't have thought of, people you hadn't even heard of before. So there are a lot of folks who you overlap with quite heavily between your audience and theirs, like Jeff Walker, Product Launch Formula, Ryan Dice, digitalmarketer.com, Brian Tracy. But then there are other folks that you probably won't have even heard of before, potentially. So this is great for identifying folks to have on your podcast, to be on their podcast, to be collaborating on a joint YouTube video, et cetera, et cetera. So let's look at some websites now that your social media following are visiting in addition to your own website. Right? So they're visiting Seth Godin's blog, for example, kimgarst.com, etc. What podcasts are they listening to? Polyhood, I don't know what that one is, but we'll leave that to the imagination. And then YouTube channels. And it sorts by default into the percentage of audience. But if you sorted by subscribers, you might find, for example, Casey Neistat in the list. And Casey, if you haven't heard of him, is a huge YouTuber. He's got a massive following. And to do a collab, that's what YouTubers call it, a collab with Casey, Joe, that would be huge. That you would blow up. So just an FYI, you should check out Casey. And these are some of the hashtags that your fans and followers are using in their own posts. Sales, for example, hashtag sales. They're using certain keywords in their profile bios, such as marketer and strategist and speaker. The words they're using in their shares on social media, where they're located, cities, states, etc. This is all just a click away. So think of using this as insight for example, targeting Facebook audiences. So you might already be targeting, let's say, fans and followers, people who like Brian Tracy, but what about Casey Neistat, et cetera, et cetera. So that's a freemium tool, actually from my co-author of the first two editions of this big book, The Art of SEO. His name is Rand Fishkin, also the founder of Moz. So he created this amazing tool, and he wrote this blog post on how to use your first 10 free SparkToro searches. You get 10 free searches per month. It only gives you a certain set of results. You're not going to see like piles and piles of YouTube accounts, for example, but you'll be able to get some really great data from that. So that is my first tool. Next is a tool called Answer the Public. Answer the Public gives you insight into your market's questions and concerns that they're asking Google. And here's how it works. It scrapes the Google suggest results. As you're typing, Google does this autocomplete thing. Well, it scrapes all that data. So let's see how that works. I already put in the keyword paleo into the tool. It has this really beautiful visualization, but it's not real handy to use because I have to crack my my neck here to see it. So I go into data view. And by the way, all of this is easily exportable out of this tool, which again is freemium. So you get some free data with this tool. And for a small, like $10 a month premium subscription, you get to unlock a lot more features. So download the CSV file, and you can see people are asking questions of Google, like, are paleo pancakes healthy? When does paleo not work? Where should I start with paleo? Right? These are all just phenomenal questions that you could answer in your FAQs page. You could put this into your editorial calendar and use this for that content diamond that Rory was talking about in the previous presentation. You can use all this to create an 80% video, is what Marcus Sheridan refers to as a sales video that answers most 80% of your prospects' questions. And this is just an incredible, insightful tool. Again, you get lots of free data with that tool. So that's tool number 2. Number 3, create professional videos using AI in seconds or minutes at least. And the tool for that is called Lumen 5. Lumen5.com, here's how it works. So let's say you get an email because you just posted a blog post, or in my case, a podcast episode with all the show notes. And it tells me, view my video. It's already created using an AI. So next thing I know, I go in here, click that link, that button, and it's created based on this long form blog post. It's the entire transcript of my episode, turned it into like concise and summarized content using an AI. And the AI also picks great imagery, stock video, stock photography, all royalty free, part of the platform. and then I can change any of it, or I can just keep it the same. Like I might want to move this guy's head over to the right more and down so that the text that's part of the image is out of view. Hit publish, and boom, now I have an almost instantaneously made video. So that's pretty darn amazing. That's tool number 3. Tool number 4 is having your own headhunter in the Philippines. Now, I have a team in the Philippines, and this headhunting firm, it's more of a service than it is a tool, but Virtual Staff Finder, for a fee of about $500, will bring you 3 qualified candidates that they have thoroughly vetted. Background checks, they've checked their internet speed, their typing speed, their English proficiency, all that. And you can have them do other assessments as well. Like I have all of them do DISC and DiMartini values determination process or hierarchy. So then they've been vetted, they've been interviewed, and the top 3 candidates get presented to me on a silver platter, and then I can have my team or myself interview them, see who I want to hire. If I don't like any of them, I tell them, go back to the well, start all over again, bring me 3 more, and that's all included for the $500. Pretty amazing. And then tool number 5, I just love this one. Many of you are probably already familiar with it because you're in strategic coach, but you get to learn what your unconscious motivators and triggers are, things that put you into your shadow self. And you get to learn this about others, like your loved one. If you have your partner take this assessment as well, your staff should all take this assessment. It's called PRINT assessment, PRINT survey. Joe, I know you're a fan of it. I just interviewed Deborah Levine, co-creator of PRINT, and this was on the Get Yourself Optimized podcast. The episode airs on June 11th. I'm really excited for it. There's so many gold nuggets in that episode. Please listen to that episode. You can get it at getyourselfoptimized.com or your favorite podcatcher. And she very graciously offered to let us use the special offer code that she provided Strategic Coach, which gives us $100 off. So it's $150 instead of $250, and a whole bunch of training videos that go with it that are super invaluable that are not normally included. So that's at printsurvey.com/special offer with an access code of P8768. And I will put this stuff into the chat. I did drop into the chat the PowerPoint presentation URL, so you can download this whole PowerPoint, but I'll individually include all the links to all these different tools as soon as I'm done with my presentation. Now, let me show you what this particular assessment tool looks like. So if I were to go into my PRINT assessment, I'm a 2 major, 8 minor. What that means is that I need to be appreciated. I feel I need to be appreciated and needed. So that's, remember, this is unconscious. It's like the iceberg where underneath the surface is where most of the bulk of it is, right? So under the surface, the unconscious is what's driving a lot of my behaviors. So to be needed and appreciated, and then to be strong and self-reliant is number 2. That's my minor. And based on that, it knows what my shadow self is, what my best self is, and what my triggers are. So let me show you what some of my triggers are. Please don't do this in the Q&A. For example, if you were to not acknowledge or appreciate my efforts, or not be, but see, if I know these things about myself, then I know to be on high alert about not getting triggered by them. And this was amazing. Deborah and her husband, the other co-creator of PRINT, have their trigger pages on their refrigerator. So it's a constant reminder not to trigger each other.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying this video, and I want to let you know that I have a new book that's come out, and if you'd like to get it absolutely free, there's a link below in the description, or you can wait till the end of this video, or you can simply go to joesfreebook.com and you can get a copy there.
Really amazing. So those are my 5 tools. And I also have a great episode of Joe that aired on my other show, Marketing Speak, last month. So definitely there's so much gold in that episode too. I highly recommend that one. So again, SparkToro, Answer the Public, Lumen 5, Virtual Staff Finder, and Print Survey. Each of these will change your life. I could do a 10-minute talk on each of them. They are powerful, and I think they're 250K ideas each. Thank you very much.
I love it. That was really
Woohoo!
What'd you guys think?
Thank you.
That was awesome.
Yeah, feel free to unmute yourself to woohoo.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! Woohoo!
You know what? I didn't even go look at any of the comments until just now because I was kind of like glued to everything you were talking about. All right, so there's a few questions here. Stephen asked early on, do you know what proportion of searches go down those different paths? Stephen, you want to come back to that or just unmute yourself and then ask?
Yeah. The which tool was it? It was the Answer the Public. You know, do we know what proportion of those searches are in those different branches of the tree?
No, so the same problem you have with Google Suggest, where it doesn't give you a number of search queries that people are typing in. You'd actually have to use a different tool for that, such as SEMrush or Search Metrics or Google Keyword Planner. There's a bunch of these tools out there that will give you numbers of searches. This just gives you what are the top ones that relate to that question plus that keyword. So who type questions, what questions, where, when, why, etc. Also implied questions, I didn't show you that. These are taking those, the keyword you specified in my case of paleo, or I think that's the one I used, was paleo. It added what, and then it scraped all these suggestion results to give us, it's like a brainstorming list. If you want to hone in on actual numbers, then you're going to use that in conjunction with another tool, such as, well, Moz Keyword Explorer would be a great one.
Cool.
Thanks. By the way, everything that Stephan just went over, Gina just put a link where you can, all of his slides, so you don't need, she wrote, here are his slides. You don't need to scramble to write down all the tools. So everyone has a link there. So everything he went over, you can just download it right there. Okie dokie.
Yep. Also on that note about the search terms, so yeah, like Moz and SEMrush, of course, are big ones. The other one that's super easy is Keywords Everywhere, and it's a Google Chrome plugin. And when you type into the search bar into Google, it'll tell you directly underneath the search bar how many times a month that term is searched and what the average CPC is and what the competition level is on it.
Yeah,
I'm sure you're.
Yeah, we could trade tools all day long. That's a great one. Keyword Hero is another amazing one. I don't know if you've heard of that one, Rory.
I haven't heard of that
Oh
one.
my goodness. So that one, you know how all of your Google Analytics keywords are listed as not provided? Have that repopulated with now the keywords. So that is a tool called Keyword Hero that integrates with Google Analytics to give you that insight again that Google took away years ago. Amazing.
Love it.
Hey, Rem, you've not said anything today. Do you want to say anything? Just going to call you out. Unmute yourself.
And if you or any of you guys want me to put in a keyword or your website or your social profile into SparkToro or run any tool reports, I'm happy to do that live during this Q&A if you'd like.
Yeah, I'd like to. Since I did annoyingly call on Rem, you don't have to say anything actually unless you want to.
No, that's okay. I was just going to say killer tools.
Yeah. Awesome, thank you. Yeah, would anyone like to have Stephan run your?
I had another question for you, Stephan. Is the virtual staff finder, is that for any position, or is that just for executive assistants, or because basically they're going to go vet a bunch of resumes for you. So if you say, hey, I want a copywriter, will they go vet that position or a video editor, or is it just I need an assistant?
within reason, they can go outside of the core of virtual assistants. Yeah.
Okay.
Most people come to them looking for virtual assistants. My most valuable person in the Philippines who manages my Filipino team came from Virtual Staff Finder. She's been with me for over 3 years. She's incredible. And she has a lot of skills. Like, she's able to create videos with Lumen 5. She's able to create infographics and all this. And there's so many of these other tools out there that I could go over 100 different tools if you gave me a whole afternoon, right? So there's a great tool for kind of a construction kit for creating infographics that PictoChart is the name of that one. So if you really like to churn out lots of infographics, but you don't want to pay an agency $500 to $1,000 each, have them use PictoChart, teach somebody on your team, bring on somebody. That's another thing too, is if you're looking for a specialist in, let's say, PictoChart or Lumen 5 or something in the Philippines, you can start without you don't have to use a headhunter. You could use a tool. It's called onlinejobs.ph. Put in Lumen 5 or PictoChart, PIKTOCHART, and see who in the Philippines has a profile in this equivalent to Craigslist for job seekers and job postings, and kind of do a DIY approach.
That was what? Onlinejobs.com?
Onlinejobs.ph for Philippines. Yeah, which I dropped all of those links into the chat just a couple minutes ago.
Who else? Who else has a question?
Does somebody want to see what SparkToro returns for their competitor or themselves? Because you can,
yeah,
like I said,
Stephan,
hey,
Stephan, it's Joe. I
Yeah.
put it in the chat, but if you want to go to Your Life After Work,
Your Life After Work, let's do it.
.com.
All right, so I'm going to share screen again.
Hooley wrote, can you try the keyword strawberry worms? That's funny. I had to eat them all real quick before I watched the video.
Joe, Clark, give me the URL again.
Your Life
Mm-hmm.
After Work
.com.
.com.
Okay. Now, one of the challenges that this tool will have is if you don't have a lot of visitors to your site, or if you don't have hardly any social followers, it doesn't have enough data to come back with anything meaningful
All
for
right,
you.
so put in Big Joe Clark. I hate that, but that's the deal.
Is this your like your Twitter or something, or is this your website?
That's LinkedIn. That's everything. It's Facebook.
Okay. So I'm going to put in. You hate that.
Twitter's
You
not
hate
going to
that.
be much. More
Well,
of
it's
my
gonna.
stuff's on LinkedIn.
That's the basis, or that's like the foundation, and it hooks up all of your accounts together, not just Twitter, but Facebook, Instagram, and everything. So it'll find all of you on social media just from your Twitter. We can use your YouTube or whatever. It doesn't matter. It'll be the same report. Okay, cross your fingers. Hopefully you have a big enough following that, yep. Okay, so it's a small following. This is not very statistically significant in terms of the number of sources or people who are following you on social media. It's only 206, but you can see that they are Hull City. I don't know where Hull City is or what that is, but that's a popular keyword for their bios. Hashtags that they're using be things like the Tigers.
Wow. Weird words.
Yeah. So are you sure this is your Twitter? Let's just.
We don't use Twitter near as much as we do Facebook and LinkedIn. That's why I said that. Yeah.
Okay, so this isn't you.
Somebody else out. Use somebody else. There were a couple other people. Randy put in Vital Choice. Use Vital Choice. That's a much better known. It'll be a better illustration for you.
Okay. So is this you, Joe?
No.
So we used the wrong URL there, or wrong Twitter username. You don't have Big Joe Clark on Twitter.
It's big_Joe_Clark, but I don't care.
Ah, okay. Well, let's have a look. I want to get this right. There you are. So we didn't have the underscores. Okay. Let's rerun this and let's see what your audience listens to, subscribes to on YouTube, visits on the web, and social accounts that they follow. Okay, so now we get some like logical sorts of keywords showing up. They're using hashtags like hashtag retirement, hashtag social security, hashtag financial planning. So let's look at some of the social accounts that they're also following. Remember, this is sorted in order of the overlap between your audience and these other audiences. Do you know who Michael Kitces is?
Yeah, so he's one of my competitors and another key supplier of information in the industry.
So what you can do is you can steal his, or not steal, you can gain insight into his following and fan base by just clicking on this link, analyze social profile, social following. So we'll learn what his people listen to, subscribe to on YouTube, follow, visit, etc.
More friends of mine. That's brilliant.
Right, so you can use this as intel to decide, like, who am I going to have on my podcast or invite or kind of pitch to be on their podcast, YouTube collabs. Who am I going to target in my Facebook ads? People who like not just Michael, your competitor, but other folks in this industry or other popular accounts. Investment news. Not sure what investment news is, but I'm guessing you do. So that could be an audience you target, is people who follow investment news on social media, on, in this case, Twitter and Facebook. Pretty cool, right?
It's very cool. So, and this is something that the people in the Philippines are able to go through, or is this stuff that you go through, for us to figure out how to target?
Yeah. So initially, I would go through that so that you can come up with some SOPs that you can provide to the folks in the Philippines. My team in the Philippines gets me guests for my podcast. I have a wish list of 200 people on there. Joe had been on there for a long time, for example. And they just relentlessly, year after year, will keep chasing after these people, even if they say no. No means not yet, right? So I had somebody say no 3 years in a row. Scott Oldford, for example, 3 years in a row, he said no. And then this time he said yes. Well, he has a book out, coming out. So that's why he said yes. So that's up to my team in the Philippines. They just crush it with that sort of stuff. They can get me booked on other podcasts as well. And they create Lumen 5 videos for not just me, but my clients as well. I don't even know what I'm tweeting on Twitter. This is just mind-blowing for a lot of people. I have over 1 million impressions on Twitter per month, and I have no idea what I'm tweeting. Apparently, it's like 7 or 8 times a day. My team in the Philippines completely handles that. In fact, the person who Virtual Staff Finder found, that's been with me for 3 years, she's heading that up. She's got my voice down and what matters to me, my kind of values and everything, and stuff that she posts that's not just promotions of podcast episodes and blog posts and so forth that I don't write myself, by the way, and I don't even review. I don't even know what I've posted to my blog, because another team member, a native English speaker, does all that blog post writing for me. So,
what are the rates these days for talent in the Philippines?
What's that?
How much are you paying? Like, what's the cost of it? Like the hourly rates these days in the Philippines?
So $4 or $5 an hour is really good. And so I have team members who get that kind of pay, and they're happy with that. That's a really good, provides a really good lifestyle. You might pay more for a specialist in a particular area, right? So somebody doing SEO will charge more if they're good. Most people who say that they do SEO in the Philippines, turn and run because they're terrible at it. So just saying, I do have an SEO BS detector, by the way, on my website on stephanspencer.com, which has some trick questions you can slip into the interview process to see if they're fakers or charlatans. Yeah, because you don't know which tool. Like, ask them about an SEO tool and what they use it for and stuff, and they could totally snow you if that's not your world. But with trick questions where there's only one right answer and you've got it on your cheat sheet, if they slip up and they say the wrong thing, then you know to kick them to the curb.
You know what? We have a wonderful team member, the only team member I have in the Philippines named Maria, who's fantastic. And I think I paid her $11,000 last year. Compared to all my other team members that are watching that are getting grossly overpaid compared to Maria. So no, this is really great, Stephan. Man, let's do this because it's 2:27 Pacific, which would make it 5:27 Eastern. We're going to wrap up in approximately 32 minutes and 28 seconds or something. Unless I'm usually my typical self, which is always going over a few minutes, and then I just completely lied to all of you about when we're going to actually wrap up. But we'll shoot for that time frame. Any final last words of wisdom, Stephan? You're welcome to continue with this marketing discussion we're going to have, but I'm going to ask Patrick Gentempo, Dean Jackson, John Weeble, and Brian Kurtz to say something because I mentioned that earlier. But what else? What else didn't you share that people need to know before we wrap this session up?
Oh my goodness, there's so much. The assessment thing is just so critical. And I actually would point you to an episode of Marketing Speak where I interviewed Cameron Harold, where we went into a bunch of different assessments. Because if you have your staff or just even candidates take DISC, DiMartini Values Determination, Strengths Finder, maybe Predictive Index, Sally Hogstead's Fascinate Index, Colby for sure, of course, right? I mean, how else are you going to find those folks that, like, I'm a quick start 9, so I need somebody who cleans up the mess, follows me around, and just makes everything happen, because I'm prolific with ideas, but I'm a 3 with finishing. So if I know everybody on the team's Colby and Strengths Finder and all these different assessments, then I can match them to their best fit, and I can apply them to the things that matter the most to them. So I use the values determination process to find out their values hierarchy and make sure that I map all their highest values to their job functions. So if one of their jobs is to book travel for me, and one of their highest values is traveling the world or having location freedom, they're going to love that because they're going to learn all sorts of travel hacks and things like how to use Priceline in ways that they'd never thought of and so forth. So yeah, all the assessments and then utilize that information. That's gold, because you're never getting 100% out of any of your staff. And we can ratchet that number up just by making sure they're a right fit and they're on the right seat on the right bus.
Awesome. Wonderful. Thank you. Everyone give him a hand. Bam, bam, bam. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, Ryan, since you're married to this dude, is there anything you want to say?
I just love him. And I think he's one of the smartest people in the universe.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you,
That's
baby.
very
She's
sweet.
just in the other room. I'm going to give her a big hug.
Yeah. Okay, I hope you found that video awesome and useful. So if you want to get a free copy of my book, I want you to click here. And if you want to watch some more videos that'll be useful and awesome, click here. Go ahead. They're over here. Do it now. Come on. Thank you. Watch them.